So, moving right along, what are some of the challenges today with the data economy?
Oh, I mean, it's just there's so many. Really, we're living through a very interesting moment, and most people would have imbibed this notion that privacy is important by now, but maybe they can't really enact it. There's also a lot of people making money off of data, and that's probably about where we are. But it turns out that's enough to change the dial. It's created a huge crisis for people at the coalface of the data economy. So those people actually creating data products, buying data products, and working on analytics. And then working in ad tech, right? It just kind of gets bigger and bigger. The digital economy is based on data, so you can't separate those two. So if there's a crisis at the coalface of kind of what to do about data, then it's going to affect the entire rest of the digital economy. So here are some kind of key things that are now kind of have created this very chaotic moment. The first thing is the privacy movement has kind of led to on one hand, Apple saying, look, fine, we're going to really clamp down on third-party tracking, right? And that led to a $10 billion loss by Meta. Now, they make a lot of money, but still $10 billion is a lot of money for them. Then the second thing is that third-party cookies are now being deleted by Chrome, right? The kind of last major browser to do this. It's, all the third-party cookies have been deleted on all other browsers by now. So that's another huge movement, because it's the way in which most other people who basically not Google or a huge Silicon Valley company collect data, right, about the people that use their products. And if you don't know who uses your products on the internet, right, in a shop, you can watch them come in, at least, right? You can take a guess, you can do some surveys, but if you're doing this all digitally, you don't know who's behind that, phone screen or computer screen. So this is vitally important for the success of digital capitalism, right? So that's been deleted, and so those things is kind of pushing the ecosystem into a crisis, right? What to do next, right? What replaces this understanding of who a digital user is, right? On the other hand, legislators are also pushing things ahead, and Europe is about to slam the world with at least 4, if not 5, huge pieces of legislation. So, wow. I mean, I can go through them very quickly, but basically, if you've been taking the temperature about a couple of years ago in Europe, you'd have realized that the legislators themselves, 2019, were like really, pardon my French, but pissed off, right? They realized that GDPR hadn't done what they kind of hoped that it would do, which is create competition, right? So it did create lots of bureaucratic privacy for ordinary people, right? All those cookie banners are because of GDPR, and it's like the worst thing ever, right? It's just annoying. It doesn't actually hasn't really given us anything as ordinary people, right? There's some stuff going on behind closed curtains, but that's it. And then they realized, look, we need new laws, because actually what we want is competition. It's not privacy. Right? Those are two actually very different things. So now they've introduced 4 different acts, and there's a 5th one perhaps in the works. And they are the Data Act, the DMA, the Digital Markets Act, the Digital Services Act, and the Data Governance Act, right? A lot of stuff there on the table. But for data unions, right, from that perspective, it means 2 things. One, there's some legislation, the Data Governance Act, which says, hey, you can be a data union. We'll call you a data intermediary. We'll give you a trust mark. There's some funding. It's 2 billion euros. And you have some obligations. Great. Now we've got a framework for these things to get off the ground, right? And actually speed up the development, because they're already there, right? We'll get onto what a data union is in a second. Hey guys. Then the other bit of that is that they've said to, and this is huge, absolutely huge. They've said to Silicon Valley companies and then to the IoT space, right, we want real-time data portability. We want you to build in like API access for ordinary users to shift their data from your platform to a third party. And you can't throw them off your service as well, right? And you can't really have any say basically about how that data is, what's done with that data afterwards, but you have to provide that service and you have to do it for free, right? We are sick and tired basically of you having a huge data silo. The walls are coming down, and the date for that start date is 2024, February, March.
Wow. Wow.
Now, where are people going to put their data
That's
to?
huge.
Right? That's a huge question,
Yeah.
right? Now, when the silo of Google has fallen, right? It's falling right before our very eyes, and no one yet can see it. And it's a wonderful position to be in, but also it's a weird one because you're like, feel a bit like Cassandra prophesizing the future. No one will kind of quite get it yet. I mean, the way from a business opportunity is obviously, from a business perspective, is to turn that into an opportunity. So we have. I mean, this is actually what I've been, and me and others in this space have been actually advocating for directly with the people who drafted the laws. So it's happening now, and it's very exciting.
I love the Red Dwarf reference right there. So just for the uninitiated, and I'm quite sure a few of my listeners aren't aware of them, what exactly is a data union?
Right, great question. So I've spent the last sort of 4 years almost being a sort of pioneer for these things called data unions. And in fact, when we started, I called them sort of community bundling. I didn't really know what a terrible name is. But a data union, very simply, is a way in which people can basically have an agent for their data, right? No one wants to think about data, deal with it, certainly not on a day-by-day basis, even if on a month-by-month basis, right? So you really want just an agent. So the idea is that people come together, they aggregate their streams of data into one singular sort of product, right? And they have someone in the middle sort of doing the work for them. That's the agent part. Then it sells, and then the money is, and the value, because it's not always monetary as such, right? It can be social value as well, is distributed back to those users. So it's a bit like a cooperative. It's a bit like a union where you have someone representing you to get kind of better terms and conditions for the things that the work you're already doing, right? Creating data all day long. And it's a bit like cooperative because it's obviously redistributing the revenue back to everyone, right? So it's a fascinating idea. It's an old and long-standing one. But, it's only been possible now because the payment part, right, is only scalable. And there are Web 2 versions, plenty of Web 2 versions and data unions are kind of doing this now, or have been doing it, and they're moving to Web 3 because they realize the payment stuff isn't scalable. And it's only scalable with smart contracting on blockchain, etc. On actually layer 2. Even a couple of years ago when I was building these things or helping to build these things with others, it wasn't scalable.